Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, so my name is Sunil and I'm from basically Bangalore. I have completed my BTech from MIT in 2016. Then I've joined one company, and then over there I have performed the as a software testing role. And currently I'm working with one of the tool which is used in our company as an internal tool. Okay, so basically which is in the Selenium and Java and TestNG framework we are using. And also like my roles and responsibility, basically identifying the test cases for the automation purpose, and then we used to develop the methods, and also writing the scripts and executing the script, and if found any bugs, then debugging also needs to perform. So basically, I'm working with Selenium WebDriver, so I need to perform the regression testing, mock testing, and some of the test cases where I need to enhance the optimization in the testing itself. Okay, in the automation. Also preparing a lots of reports, attending the Scrum meetings, basically, and yes, that's all like till now I have done. And also one major thing, like I have under 2 or 3 people, I am they are reporting to me, so basically I handle them also.
How will you rate yourself in Selenium and Java?
Out of 5 or 10?
Out of 10.
Yeah, so basically I will give myself in Selenium as 6 somewhere, and in the Java also 6. So basically I'm in between, not a perfect, we can say that, because many things needs to be learned in Selenium and Java. And yes, I can give both of them as 6.
Okay, so can we create a constructor as a private? Is this possible?
Yes, so we can create the constructor or declare as a constructor as a private, but if we creating the constructor as private, then we cannot create the object of a class. Okay, so basically the one object of the class will be there, and that needs to be used everywhere. So we have a one design pattern in Java, singleton design pattern. Over there we make the rule of singleton design pattern itself only, we need to make the constructor as a private. Okay, so yes, we can create the private constructor also. And if we are creating the private constructor, then basically we are preventing the class instance from being created in any place other than this very class. So yes.
Okay, can we override the private methods?
No, so we cannot override the private method, because private, when we declare the variable as a private, so basically what happened, the scope of that method will be in the same class. So if we want to override, then we required another class. So the that particular method which is declared as a private, that method will not be visible in other class. So we cannot override the private method. So it is not possible actually.
Okay, so what is the difference between call by value and call by reference? Can you tell me the difference?
Yeah, so call by value and call by reference, basically in call by value, what happens, the way we are calling the function, in which the address of the actual argument are copied to the formal parameters. So yes, so that is the call by value. And the call by reference, in which what happens, method in which we are passing the argument to a function, basically we are copying the reference of an actual argument into the formal parameters. Okay, so this is the call by reference. And in other words, call by value, the programmer needs to pass the address of the actual argument to the formal parameter. And in call by reference, what happens, programmer basically passes the reference of actual argument to the formal parameter. And memory wise, memories are located for both actual argument and the formal parameter. And in call by reference, what happens, the memory which is allocated only for the actual argument, and the formal parameter shares that memory because we are passing the reference to it. So that is the difference between call by value and the call by reference.
Okay, can you tell me the like how we can find out the length of a string? Okay, we need to find out the length of a string without using the length function. Okay. So can you tell me?
So basically, finding out the string, I mean the length of a string without using the length method. So basically, there are two ways. One is we can use two char array. Okay, basically whatever the string we have, we need to use two char array. Then that method will basically give you the list of array values. Okay, and we need to iterate over the character array and increment the length variables. So that can be done, to basically get the length of a string without using the length method. And another way is we can use string index out of bound exception. Yeah, so basically this is also the way we can count the length of a string. So basically what the logic or the idea behind is, basically first of all we need to initialize I variable with the value is 0, and we need to iterate over the string, okay, without specifying any condition. So the value of the I will be 0 and it will be always be true. So once the value of I will be more than a length of a string, it will throw the string out of bound exception, right? Then what we will do, we will catch those exception, okay, we will catch that exception and return the value of I mean outside the catch block. So that basically gives you, the output as, we can say that, like the length of a string.
Okay, how to find out the part of a string from a string? I mean, I have one string. I need to, get the value of some part of the string, not the entire string. So how can you do that?
Yeah, so basically, for that, like suppose I have one string and I need to get the some part of it, not the entire string. So basically I can use, there is a one method, substring method is there. So basically in the string class there is substring method. I will use that and get the value wherever I required based on that, not the entire string. So yes, substring is there.
Suppose I have three classes A, B, and C, where C extends B and B extends A. So, can we call the constructor of A from C by writing the super dot super? Is it correct?
I don't think so. We can use super dot super to access the constructor of class A from the C. So like I've never tried even also like this kind of thing. But what I'm sure about it, like we can do one thing. Like suppose we have class A B C and we want to access. We want to get the value of the constructor class A. Then what we can do in class B, we can use in the first statement itself, like super dot constructor of the class A. And in the class C, again I can use as the first statement in the constructor as super dot, we can call the constructor of the class B. So in this way, and again in the main, like the class C, we can create the object of it and we can call that particular constructor. So in this way, I have worked and I know, but I don't know about like super dot super we can access the constructor of class. I think it will get the compile time error. I'm not sure about it, but
Which Selenium version you use now? I mean, in the current project, and do you know the latest version?
yes. So basically, the current project I am using the Selenium 3.141 .50 version. Okay, and yes, I do also know the Selenium 4 is already in the market. So basically, most of the features are there in the Selenium 4 as well, which is basically easy for as a tester to we can get use of it most of the things. So basically it allow us to take a screenshot previously, like before Selenium 4 version, we have the feature of like take a screenshot, but it is possible for the entire screen. But now, instead of taking the full page screenshot, like we can take the element level also screenshot. That is possible with Selenium 4. And for window specific, like window handling purpose, better control, it provided like whether we the new window open as a tab or in their own window. So that kind of facilities. And somewhere it also added the some like browser specific things, like a new method to allow install and uninstall the add-on for Firefox browser at a runtime. So these are the things like it provided in the Selenium 4 version. And again, it's a lot more thing they have introduces.
Can you justify like why most of the people in the industries they choose the CSS selector having the higher priority over the XPath expressions? Why is it so?
What I know, CSS selector is somewhere is faster when we are comparing with the XPath expression. So basically, CSS selector locate the UI element in a faster way. And another reason is like sometimes the what the XPath expression we write in our automation script, few things are not working on Internet Explorer browser. Okay, so but the again CSS selector is pretty much comfortable, to execute and easy to use. So that's why I can say that the reason behind like people go for the consistency, which is used by the every browser, and it will be working for every browser. So that kind of thing is also there. And also in terms of execution, CSS selector is faster as compared to XPath.
Which framework you are using in your project, and can you tell me some reason why you are using this framework only?
So basically, there are multiple test automation framework are there, but basically, like in our project, somewhere we have adapted the BDD framework, and including the hybrid testing framework also. Okay, because we require different things. So basically, hybrid driven framework is used like it will having more than one framework. Like we have also data driven framework like and BDD also there. So basically, it involve both the things like so it will be give us the more coverage basically to from the client perspective as well as and from the testing perspective as well. So in BDD, like we use given when and then with the help of Cucumber. Okay, so it give us the lot of exposure, so that the business analyst, BA, and the developer and tester, everyone can participate and understand what exactly the testing is already going on. So which increase the collaboration between the development and the testing team. So it does not require users to be acquainted with the programming language. So basically the programming language is not required, and any non-technical or normal layman person can just read and understand what exactly the requirement is. So yes, this is the framework we use. Previously we used to use only the data driven framework, where we have to separate the test case logic with the exact logic which is required. So yes, that is the difference, that's why we are using this framework as the behavior driven and the hybrid framework.
What is the difference between BDD and TDD? Can you explain me?
So BDD is a behavioral driven development and TDD is a test driven development. In BDD, it is basically focus on development technique on the system behaviors, whereas in the test driven development, this technique basically focus on implementing a particular feature, not entire system behavior. In BDD, the customer QAs and developers are involved. In TDD, basically developer is involved. BDD is basically for Cucumber, so it uses the shared language as a gherkin. Whereas in TDD, like we have developers mostly use this, so they use the Java or the Python specific language. BDD is to understand the requirement from all the perspective, and TDD is basically for unit testing purpose we use. So yes, there are lots of differences are there. So that's, I mean, that BDD and test driven development is there.
What is STLC? Can you explain me in detail entire workflow STLC?
Yeah, so basically STLC is software testing life cycle. It is basically a sequence of activities which we required as a tester. Like as the developers, they have SDLC, software development life cycle. That's why in that way also we have STLC for tester, software testing life cycle. So the goal of this STLC is basically to verify verification and validation, both the activities we basically perform. And it has lots of phases, like 6 phases are there. First is, we as a tester we used to gather the requirements, or requirement analysis is there, and then after that we need to prepare the test plans, right? So we have a test planning, and then we need to, after preparing the test plan, we need to develop the test cases also. So test case development is there. After development of the test case, we need to set the environment. So environment setup is also one of the fourth, we can say that the STLC phases. And the fifth one is like a test execution. Over there, once the environment is set up, we used to perform our testing execution. And after that, the last phase, we can say that the test cycle closure, where we measure the acceptance criteria from the customer end, and after that we are giving the sign off for the particular entire, we can say that the STLC phases over there.
Have you ever in your project handle the JavaScript pop-ups, like dealing with the OK or cancel button, or getting the text from the particular alert pop-ups or the JavaScript pop-ups? If you are worked on that, can you explain me those things?
Yes, so basically I have worked on this JavaScript pop-ups, basically the alerts. So we have like 4 methods are there: accept, dismiss, get text, and send keys. So suppose I need to click on OK, that suppose the alert pop-up is present on the screen, and there's 2 button, OK and cancel, and I need to accept that OK button. Then I have accept method to accept that pop-up or the alert. And then for the cancelling purpose, we have a dismiss method, so we can decline that pop-up also. And then we have a get text method. Suppose some message is written over there on that alert or pop-up, so we can get the text which is written on that pop-up. And the last one is, suppose some text we need to enter on that pop-up or alert as an input, so we can use the send key method, so that is also there. So yes, basically in this way we can handle the JavaScript pop-ups.
Can you explain me what is Fluent Wait in Selenium WebDriver?
Yeah, sure. So Fluent Wait in Selenium WebDriver, basically the Fluent Wait command define like the maximum amount of time for Selenium WebDriver to wait for a certain condition to be appear. Okay, so once the certain condition or the elements will be appearing, okay, based on the after a time period, so we can Fluent Wait will wait and looks for a web element which is repeatedly at a regular interval time. It will give the timeout happen until the object is found. So basically it is based on some condition, we can say that the Fluent Wait is work, and it will wait until the particular things which we required from that web page it will happen, or until the object is found. So in this way it works.
consider I have 100 test cases and I just want to execute only 50 test cases, and rest of the thing I don't want to execute. So how can you proceed with this scenario? Can you explain me?
Okay, so we have a two ways we can deal with this situation or the scenario. Like first one is we can manually, manually in terms of like we have add test methods. So basically annotation. So I what I can do is I just make it as disable. Okay, enable equals to false. So one of the way like we can skip that test cases. Okay, and another way is we can do is we have a testng.xml file over there. We can go there and also we can exclude them. Okay, whatever the 50 test cases I don't want to run, so in this way like I can exclude those 50 test cases which I don't want to run, and rest remaining 50 test case will automatically it will execute, because we are not providing or applying some condition to that rest 50 test cases. So one is the exclude and another one is disabled equals to false.
What is the difference between before method and before test? Can you explain me?
Yeah, so basically before method annotation execute the before each and every test method. Okay, and at the rate before test, this annotation will execute only one time before any test methods. Okay, so a method will run before executing any at the rate test annotated test method, that is a part of test tag which is present in the testng.xml file.
Can you tell me the difference between driver.close and driver.quit command?
Driver.quit is used to exit the browser or end the session, tabs or any pop-ups. So basically quit is something which terminate all the things, but whereas on the driver.close it only closes the window that has the focus. So basically that is the difference. So it works on single thing, and driver.quit is worked on entire thing, like all the sessions will get closed.
How to clear the text inside the text box field using Selenium WebDriver? Like how can I clear that?
So we have a clear method is there. So basically we need to write like driver dot find element based on the locator like by xpath or the id or anything, and dot clear method and semicolon. In this way like whatever the element the like text box is there and whatever the data is present inside that text box, that will be get clear out.
Can you tell me how we can scroll down or scroll up in a particular page in Selenium WebDriver? What is the approach we can do?
Yeah, so for scrolling purpose, we can do one thing. We need to use JavaScript executor interface. Okay, and we need to cast it with the driver, and then whatever the object with JavaScript executor, we can use that object. And then we have one method like JavaScript executor object dot execute script, and inside the like bracket double quotes what we can do, we can write down like windows dot scroll by, and we need to provide the like how much we need to scroll up or down based on the xy parameters. Like so we can write down like windows dot scroll by 0 comma 1000. So what it will do, it will scroll down the page by 1000 pixel vertical. Okay, so horizontal first we can say that the 0 parameter and 1000 parameter is for pixel which is responsible for vertically scrolling. So in this way we can scroll up or down.
What do you understand by add test annotation in which invocation count equals to 1 or 2 anything, and at the rate test thread pool size equals to 1 2 3? So both the things, invocation count and thread pool size, is basically what purpose we are using in TestNG these things.
So at test, invocation count is basically this parameter indicate that the number of times this method should be invoked, a particular method should be invoked. And another the annotation like or the attribute thread pool size is used for executing the suits in a parallel. Okay, each suit can be run in a separate thread. So basically both the things are basically used for in TestNG this purposes only.
Okay, I'm done with your interview. Do you have any questions for me?
No such question from my side.
Okay, then bye.